the pressure upon Jerusalem, the alliances forming against it. These are not separate threads. They are strands of the same rope pulling the world toward the appointed day. The convergence brings acceleration. What once took decades now happens in months. What once took years now unfolds in days. The birth pains are shortening and the contractions are stronger. And yet in the midst of the convergence, there is also a gathering of another kind, the gathering of the faithful, the calling of the remnant, the outpouring of the Spirit in places long thought spiritually barren. Even as darkness rises, light rises in defiance. This too is part of the convergence, for the Lord promised that the gospel of the kingdom would be preached in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end would come. Never before has the word gone forth with such speed, through satellites, through devices, through voices lifted in every language. Never before have so many enclosed nations been reached, so many dreams and visions reported among those who have never held a Bible. This convergence is not only the rise of darkness, but the rise of the light. In the days before the flood, Noah built the ark as the world mocked him. The construction of that ark was itself a sign, a testimony that judgment was coming and that salvation was prepared. Today, the building of the spiritual ark continues. The calling of souls into the kingdom, the strengthening of the saints, the preparation of the bride for the coming of the bridegroom. And as in Noah's day, this building happens in the shadow of a world rushing toward its own undoing. But the convergence means the door will not remain open forever. The reign began when the last board was in place, when the last animal had entered, when the time had come. So it will be again. The convergence is also a test of sight, of hearing, of heart. Many will see the signs and yet refuse to connect them. They will explain them away as coincidence, as cycles of nature, as human error, as nothing more than random chance. But those who belong to the light will not be deceived, for the Spirit will bear witness within them. They will feel the urgency. They will sense the nearness. They will be stirred to holiness, to prayer, to repentance, to readiness. The convergence is not given to satisfy curiosity. It is given to awaken the soul. And there is a mystery in the convergence, for as the signs gather, so do the forces behind them. Just as the armies of the earth will one day gather in the valley of decision, the spiritual powers are even now aligning for the final conflict. Principalities move into place. Thrones and dominions conspire. The spirit of Antichrist moves with boldness. But over and above them all, the Lord of hosts commands his armies. Angels are positioned at their posts. Messengers are sent forth to warn, to guide, to protect, to war in the unseen realm. The convergence means that both kingdoms are preparing for the final engagement. Do not think you are here by accident. If you are hearing these words, you have been appointed to live in this time. You could have been born in any century, but the Lord chose this one for you, the time of the convergence. This is not a season for fear, but for faith. For just as the convergence brings the shaking, it also brings the certainty that the one who foretold these things holds all things in his hands. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Nothing in this convergence takes him by surprise. Every sign was written before the world began. Every event is within his sight. Every day of your life is recorded in his book. And so the question is not whether the convergence is happening, it is. The question is what you will do in light of it. Will you watch? Will you pray? Will you align your life with the purposes of God? Will you remove the weights and sins that so easily ensnare you? Will you forgive those you've held bound in bitterness? Will you speak the truth to those still asleep? Will you stand even when the tide of culture pulls against you? The convergence is the call to decision. There is no neutral ground when the signs align. To remain unmoved is to drift with the world toward the day of reckoning. Lift up your head. Do not be crushed by the weight of the signs. Be lifted by the hope they carry. For the same Lord who told you the signs also told you, when you see these things begin to come to pass, look up, for your redemption draws near. The convergence is not the end of hope. It is the announcement that hope is approaching in fullness. It is the sign that the promises made from the beginning are about to be fulfilled. It is the reminder that the same Jesus who ascended will return in like manner. It is the assurance that the kingdoms of this world will become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. The convergence of signs is the handwriting on the wall for the kingdoms of men, but it is the wedding invitation for the bride of Christ. It is the gathering storm for the rebellious, but it is the gathering of the eagles for those who wait upon the Lord. And soon the convergence will give way to the culmination, the day when the trumpet will sound, the dead in Messiah will rise, and we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Until that day, stand firm, watch the signs, live ready, for the convergence means the King is at the door. From the beginning of time, the Almighty set patterns in motion. He marked the heavens with lights for signs and seasons. He established rhythms in creation, the rising and setting of the sun, the waxing and waning of the moon, the appointed feasts, the cycles of harvest. These were not merely to govern agriculture or to measure time. They were declarations that history itself moves according to divine appointments. Throughout the ages, the Lord has spoken through signs, through events on earth, through movements in the heavens, through the rise and fall of kingdoms, through the shaking of nature. But now, in our generation, we are seeing something different. We are seeing the streams of these signs not flowing separately, but converging. The signs that once appeared isolated now move together toward a single point. It is the moment when every prophetic stream joins into one river, racing toward its fulfillment. The convergence of signs is unlike any single event. One sign can be dismissed, explained away, or forgotten. But when the signs multiply and align, when they sound together in harmony and warning, they form a trumpet blast no one can silence. The convergence is when wars, pestilences, earthquakes, moral collapse, global deception, signs in the heavens, and the shaking of nations all manifest in the same window of time. It is when prophecy no longer whispers from the distance, but thunders at the gates. It is as if the Lord himself is calling out to a world asleep, shaking it awake before the appointed hour strikes. In the days of Noah, there were many warnings: the corruption of the earth, the violence filling the land, the preaching of righteousness, the building of the ark. Each was a sign in itself. But the day came when all these signs aligned. The ark was finished, the animals entered, the heavens darkened, and the fountains of the deep prepared to break open. When the convergence came, the time for delay was over. The door was shut, and judgment began. So it will be in the days before the coming of the Son of Man. The convergence is not simply a coincidence. It is the final alignment before the breaking forth of the last events. Look around you and see the signs gathering. There are wars and rumors of wars shaking continents. Nations are rising against nations. Ancient alliances are breaking, while others are forming exactly as foretold by the prophets. Economic systems that seemed unshakable are trembling, while new systems rise that carry the seeds of control and domination. Pestilences sweep through the earth, altering the course of nations, changing economies, reshaping freedoms. The earth groans with birth pains, earthquakes in places long thought stable, volcanoes stirring after centuries of silence, waters rising and storms growing in intensity and frequency. In the heavens, the moon turns to shades of blood, the sun darkens, and signs appear that confound scientists and rulers alike. But it is not only the physical realm that bears witness. There is a moral and spiritual shaking just as great. The foundations of truth are being torn down. What was once called evil is now celebrated as good, and what was once honored as good is now condemned as evil. Lawlessness increases and the love of many grows cold. The boundaries of creation are being crossed. The image of God in man is being redefined, and the designs of the Creator are being altered by human pride and rebellion. Yet even this is part of the convergence. For the Scriptures foretell that before the end comes, there will be a great falling away, a rebellion against truth, and the rise of deception that will, if possible, deceive even the elect. Israel stands at the center of the convergence. The rebirth of the nation in 1948 was a sign that the fig tree had blossomed. The return of Jerusalem to Jewish hands in 1967 was another trumpet blast. But now Jerusalem is again at the center of the world's attention. The nations gather against it. Pressure mounts to divide it. Peace plans are drawn and redrawn, all pressing against the covenant God made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The prophet Zechariah declared that in the last days Jerusalem would be a cup of trembling to all nations and a burdensome stone that will cut all who lift it. This is unfolding before our eyes. The convergence means that the signs concerning Israel are no longer separate from the signs in the nations, the signs in nature, and the signs in the church. They are all moving together. The technology of our age plays its role in the convergence. Knowledge has increased beyond measure. Inventions that were unimaginable a generation ago now shape daily life. The tools for global surveillance, control, and communication are in place. Systems that could enforce the mark of the beast, once thought impossible, are now technically feasible. And with them comes the merging of man and machine, the blurring of the line between human and artificial, the rewriting of life itself. These are not isolated advances. They are part of the prophetic puzzle. When seen together, they reveal how close the world is to the fulfillment of Revelation's warnings. But as the darkness converges, so does the light. The gospel is being preached to all nations at a speed never before possible. Missionaries and ministers, many hidden from the public eye, carry the word into the most closed and hostile regions. The Spirit of God is moving through dreams and visions among those who have never held a Bible. Revivals are breaking out in unexpected places. The faithful are awakening to prayer, fasting, and holiness. This too is part of the convergence, for the Lord declared that the gospel of the kingdom would be preached in all the world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end would come. The convergence is a divine summons. It calls the people of God to lift their eyes from the distractions of the age and fix them on the eternal. It is not given to stir curiosity alone, but to bring about readiness. The watchman does not blow the trumpet for conversation. He blows it to warn, to prepare, to save. The wise will see the convergence and know that the time is short. The unwise will dismiss it as noise, as random events, as fear-mongering. But the day will reveal who was ready and who was not. This is the hour to cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. It is the hour to live as those who will soon see the King face to face. It is the hour to forgive, to let go of bitterness, to mend broken relationships, to walk in purity, to store up treasures in heaven. For the convergence is the final gathering of signs before the final trumpet sounds. When the Master spoke of the signs of the age, he told his disciples, "When you see these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near." The convergence means that these things are no longer beginning. They are here. And just as in the days of Noah, the convergence will not last forever. There will come a moment when the door is shut. The window of preparation will close. The ark will be sealed. Those who are inside will be safe. Those outside will face the storm. The convergence is the final mercy before the final judgment, the last great call before the sound of the trumpet. Do not be found asleep. Do not be lulled by the rhythm of daily life. Do not let the voices of the scoffers drown out the voice of the Spirit. The world will continue to mock, to explain away, to say that all things continue as they have from the beginning. But you are not called to walk by sight alone. You are called to walk by faith, by the word that has never failed. And the word declares that when the signs converge, the coming of the Lord is at the very gates. Lift up your eyes. See the world not as the news reports it, but as the prophets foretold it. See the shaking of nations, the trembling of creation, the unrest in the streets, the changing of laws, the gathering of armies, the falling of moral walls, the strange signs in the skies. See them not as scattered, but as joined. The convergence is here, and with it comes the certainty that the King is near. And when he comes, he will come suddenly, in the twinkling of an eye, at the sound of the last trumpet. The dead in Messiah will rise first, and we who are alive and remain will be caught up to meet him in the air. The convergence is the drumbeat before that moment. Every sign, every tremor, every shift is another beat in the rhythm that is carrying history to its appointed climax. So be ready, be awake. Live as if the trumpet could sound tonight. Speak the truth in love while there is still time. Warn the lost. Encourage the weary. Strengthen the hands that hang down. For the convergence of signs is the Lord's announcement that the age is drawing to its close and the kingdom is about to come in fullness. The hidden unveiling is not a moment man can orchestrate, nor a spectacle the world's news can fully capture. It is the silent work of the eternal, the breath of God moving through time, peeling back the veil between what is seen and what has long remained unseen. All through history, the Almighty has kept certain mysteries hidden, concealed within the folds of His plan, waiting for the hour He has appointed. And when that hour comes, there is no power on earth or in the kingdom of darkness that can keep the revelation from breaking forth. The night you are about to witness is unlike the nights before it. For the veil is thinning, the shadows are parting, and what was once concealed will now stand in the light, unhidden, undeniable, and inescapable. From the beginning, the Lord has worked through patterns, cycles, and appointments. There were seasons when the prophets spoke words they themselves did not fully grasp, because the meaning was not for their generation, but for one yet to come. Daniel was told to seal up the vision until the time of the end. John was forbidden to write down the words of the seven thunders. These were not denials, they were delays, divine withholdings until the appointed moment. And the appointed moment always arrives like a thief in the night, sudden to the unprepared, but perfectly timed for the purposes of God. We are standing on the edge of such a moment now. The unveiling is never without a cost. When light enters, it exposes. It lays bare the hidden works of darkness, the secret plots of the enemy, and even the compromises of those who claim to belong to the Lord but have lived divided lives. This night is set to bring a kind of light that will not flatter, will not bend, will not excuse. It will reveal truth as truth and lies as lies, righteousness as righteousness and wickedness as wickedness. Those who have built their refuge in deception will find their walls crumbling under the weight of exposure. There is a spiritual trembling in the atmosphere, a knowing that something long restrained is about to be loosed. The kingdoms of this world are agitated, the powers of the air are stirred, and even nature seems restless. When God moves to unveil, He does not simply uncover events, He reveals the condition of hearts. For the greatest unveiling is not the sight of a sign in the heavens or the unfolding of a geopolitical shift, but the moment a person stands in the full measure of God's truth and can no longer hide behind pretense. On August 12th, a curtain in the unseen will be drawn back, and both the faithful and the false will stand revealed in the sight of heaven. In the days of Elijah, the prophets of Baal danced around their altar, cutting themselves, crying out to their gods, thinking their frenzy would bring fire. But the heavens were silent until the man of God rebuilt the altar of the Lord and called upon His name. Then the fire fell, and in that moment, the people could no longer pretend they didn't know the truth. The hidden was unveiled, and the choice stood before them. The Lord is God. Follow Him. This night carries that same fire, a moment when the fence-sitters will have to choose, when the eyes that have been clouded will be forced open and the masquerade will end. But take heed, and the unveiling is not only for the world out there. The judgment of God begins with the house of God. The light will shine first upon his people, and the measure they have used for others will be the measure applied to them. If you have been walking in compromise, in secret sins, in hidden bitterness, this unveiling will reach you too. The Spirit of the Lord is searching hearts, testing motives, and separating the pure from the impure. The time for half-hearted faith is over. Do not think this unveiling is meant only to expose evil. It is also meant to vindicate the righteous. For too long, the faithful have been mocked, accused, and misrepresented. Their words of warning were dismissed, their faithfulness ridiculed, their prayers counted as foolishness. But the unveiling will bring to light the reality that what they spoke was true, that the God they served was moving even when the world laughed. The day will come when the scoffers will be silenced, and the faithful will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. The enemy fears the unveiling because his power thrives in darkness. His greatest strength is the ability to work unseen, to weave lies unnoticed, to corrupt in secret. But when the veil is lifted, his schemes unravel. On the night that is coming, there will be cracks in his covering. There will be moments when his works are dragged into the open, where his influence will be recognized for what it truly is. This is why you must be awake, for the enemy will also seek to cloud the unveiling with counterfeit signs, to distort what is revealed, and to draw eyes away from the true work of God. Remember, when Jesus walked the earth, there were moments when the veil lifted and heaven broke into the natural realm. At his baptism, the heavens opened, the Spirit descended like a dove, and the voice of the Father declared his Son. On the Mount of Transfiguration, the glory of Christ shone so brightly that even his garments became radiant. And at the cross, when he breathed his last, the veil in the temple was torn from top to bottom, the ultimate unveiling of God's plan of redemption. August 12th holds in its spiritual register a moment of that same kind, a tear in the veil that separates the temporal from the eternal. But the question is not merely, will you see it? The question is, will you be ready for what it reveals? The unveiling will confront you with truth, and truth demands a response. You cannot encounter the unhidden reality of God and remain neutral. Those who bow will find mercy, but those who harden their hearts will find that the light they rejected becomes the fire of judgment. This is why the Spirit calls you now to prepare. Seek Him in the secret place, before the secret place is no longer hidden. Confess what must be confessed. Forsake what must be forsaken. Forgive who must be forgiven. Do not wait for the unveiling to make your choice. Make it now, so that when the light comes, you will stand unashamed. And to those who have been waiting, watching, praying for this moment, lift up your heads. Your faith is not in vain. The unveiling will be a sign that the Lord has heard your cry, that He has not forgotten His covenant, that His promises are sure. The night will not only reveal the schemes of darkness, it will also reveal the nearness of the coming King. For the ultimate unveiling is not a date, an event, or a sign. It is the revelation of Jesus Christ in glory, when every eye will see Him, every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that He is Lord. So watch, for the veil is about to lift. Stand firm, for the light is about to shine. And be ready, for when the hidden is unveiled, eternity will be closer than you ever imagined. The hidden unveiling is not the moment the world expects, for the world's eyes are blinded by the glare of its own making. It is the moment when that which has been concealed in shadows, in the folds of time, in the sealed scrolls of heaven, begins to come into the open. There are mysteries that have been written before the foundation of the earth, mysteries of nations, mysteries of kings, mysteries of destinies, and mysteries of hearts. These are not casual secrets. They are divine appointments and decrees that have been hidden until the appointed time. And when the appointed time comes, no power on earth or in hell can keep them locked away. We are living in the hour when the hidden will break forth, when the veil will be pulled back, and when the unseen will crash into the realm of the seen. From the beginning, the God of heaven has moved in patterns and in appointed seasons. He hides the seeds of events in the soil of time, and then, at the exact moment, he causes them to break the surface. That which looked empty and silent is suddenly filled with life and movement. This is how he brought forth the flood in Noah's day. He spoke it long before the first drop of rain fell. This is how he raised up Joseph in Egypt. The dreams came years before the famine. This is how he brought forth his son into the world. Prophecy declared it centuries before Bethlehem ever saw the star. The unveiling begins in silence, but when the appointed night comes, the silence breaks. What is concealed is not only events, but also the hearts of men. The unveiling will not merely expose nations. It will expose the secret motives of rulers, the hidden corruption of systems, the concealed sins of the unrepentant, and the unshaken faith of those who have clung to him in the dark. Many think of unveiling as a revelation of information, but it is more than that. It is the revelation of truth, of light piercing darkness, of the holy confronting the unholy. And when that light comes, it does not come politely. It does not knock and wait to be welcomed in. It shatters the door and floods every corner. We are now in days when deception has wrapped itself around the earth like a garment. Words are twisted, truth is mocked, and lies are spoken as though they were light. The unveiling will tear that garment apart. What is whispered in darkness will be shouted from the rooftops. What has been plotted in secret chambers will be made known in the public square. The false prophets of the age, those who claim to speak for heaven yet serve the altars of man, will find their words falling like ashes, and the remnant, the hidden ones of God, will be brought to light, not for their own glory, but to stand as living witnesses in the final hours. There is a mystery in this. The same unveiling that brings joy to the faithful brings terror to the wicked. In Egypt, the unveiling came in the form of the angel of death. For some, it was the night of deliverance. For others, it was the night of judgment. On the cross, the unveiling came when the veil of the temple was torn in two. For some, it meant the way into the presence of God. For others, it meant their system of power was undone. The same event can mean salvation or judgment, depending on which side of the line you stand. August 12th, in the marking of heaven, is not ordinary. It is as if the threads of many prophecies are converging to be loosed at once, threads that have been woven through decades, even centuries. It may not be the day the whole world shakes, but it can be the day the shaking begins, unseen to the natural eye, yet thunderous in the spiritual realm. The hidden unveiling begins quietly, a whisper in the night, a dream given to the watchman, a stirring in the hearts of those attuned to his voice. And yet that whisper will set into motion waves that will reach the ends of the earth. The people of God are not called to be blind in such a time. The Spirit has been speaking, warning, calling, urging His own to be awake. For when the veil begins to lift, you will not have time to prepare. The preparation must be now. The oil must be in the lamp before the midnight cry is heard. Too many have been waiting for signs in the sky while ignoring the signs in their own hearts. The unveiling will not only reveal the world, it will reveal you. Are you ready for the light to shine on every part of your life? Are you ready for the thoughts and intents of your heart to be laid bare before Him? Are you ready for the weight of His truth to strip away every pretense? In the days of Daniel, the unveiling came in a night. The writing on the wall appeared, and the kingdom of Babylon was measured and found wanting. There was no warning announcement to the nation. Only those in the king's hall saw the hand. That is how the hidden unveiling works. It is shown to those who watch, and by the time the rest of the world notices, it is already too late to change the outcome. That is why the watchman must cry out now. That is why the trumpet must sound before the battle is seen. We live in an age that loves to cover itself with noise, entertainment, and distraction. The unveiling cuts through all of it. It forces the soul to look at what it would rather ignore. It forces nations to confront what they have sown. It forces leaders to face the truth of their deeds. And for the faithful, it forces us to lay down our idols, to remove the masks we have worn even before God, to surrender what we have been holding back. It is a fearful and glorious thing to be seen fully by the one who sees all. There are layers to the unveiling. First comes the unveiling of events, the breaking of seals, the shifting of powers, the shaking of economies, the rise and fall of leaders. Then comes the unveiling of truth, lies exposed, secret deals brought into the light, hidden plots revealed. And then comes the unveiling of hearts, the separation of the true from the false, the wheat from the tares, the wise virgins from the foolish. In the end, all will be laid bare. Nothing will remain hidden. The only covering that will stand is the blood of the Lamb. When the unveiling begins, it cannot be stopped. Men may try to cover it up, to silence the voices, to hide the evidence, but the tide of God's timing is unstoppable. Just as the dawn cannot be held back by the night, so the revelation of what He has decreed cannot be delayed. You may not see it all at once. It may begin as a crack in the wall, but soon the wall will crumble. And when it does, everything behind it will pour forth. In this there is both warning and hope. Warning because those who walk in darkness will find no place to hide. Hope because those who have suffered unseen, those whose faithfulness has been ignored, those whose prayers have been hidden, will be brought into the open. The unveiling will be their vindication. The tears sown in secret will be reaped in joy. The quiet endurance of the righteous will become a testimony before the nations. The hour is late and the hidden unveiling is near. The question is not whether it will come, it will. The question is whether you will be ready when it does. Will you be found in the light, or will you be clinging to the shadows? Will you rejoice when the veil is lifted, or will you tremble? Tonight may seem ordinary to the world, but in the courts of heaven, the scroll is being unsealed. The King is moving. The hidden things are about to be revealed, and when they are, the world will never be the same again.